It's really interesting that we've talked a lot about how you're supposed to feel about Grenouille, because for me, you've both been very like, you know, he's horrible, he's this and he's that. And I was sort of at points like, I'm not 100% sure how I'm supposed to feel about him. And that's not that I think it's all right to kill women, but I didn't know if in a way you were supposed to feel sorry for him as if he just didn't know any better.
Yeah, I think, is there an element that because he is entirely motivated by scent and capturing scent, that there's a sort of sad loneliness to him?
Yeah, there's a vulnerability, isn't there?
There's no one else on earth like him. There's no one else on earth who has the same drives and motivations of him. So I don't know if you're not supposed to like him, are you? But I think you're supposed to understand the tragedy of him and perhaps, you know, recognize the tragedy of him.
Yeah,
and it is indeed tragic as well, isn't it? Like his start in life is just awful, and for the first 18, 20 years, everything is just awful for him.
And he's a tragedy not just for himself but for everyone he meets.
One thing I did notice that you just reminded me of then. So when Alan Rickman sort of gets wind that he wants to kill his daughter, so he sort of takes her away, and they're off they ride the horses like to the next town over, and he's sort of trying to hide her away. And he locks her away in this room, but then just leaves her. Yeah. And I was like, either you'd hire a bodyguard, because he's like some sort of like wealthy like aristocrat or something, isn't he? So it's like, so he's probably got enough cash. Hire a few bodyguards or stay in that room with her. But he just left her in there, and I was like, oh well, of course she's gonna get killed now.
Yeah, it's not that weird to sleep in the room with your daughter if she's possibly being hunted by a maniac.
Exactly. Yeah. Just so unbelievable.
That's the most unbelievable part. Not the super nose, not the fact that he seems to be able to run fast enough to catch up with a horse at one point.
Yeah.
What I was interested to know, what did you sort of think for yourself, Jim? Did you think is there a message from the film, or is it just sort of there to entertain?
That's I've been thinking a lot about that, because it is. It makes it very clear that you shouldn't go around trying to capture the essence of women, resulting in their death. But it's hard, it's a film with an unusual kind of lack of a message. I think it really does lean into the kind of the fairy tale, grim tale idea of it. And I think actually that's what's quite unique about it, in that it is just an unfolding tragedy, an unfolding sad tale of horror, really. A sort of, as I kind of said earlier on, it is like a folk tale, really, a folk horror tale. So I suppose that the message is it's one of kind of isolation, isn't it? It's a character study in somebody who is a complete loner. There is a point in the book where he thinks about why he's doing the things that he does, and he concludes that it's just because he's evil. And he's fine with it. So it is, it's not a particularly nuanced look at the kind of outsider in society in a lot of senses, which he obviously acts as in the story. But I'm still unpacking what I'm supposed to take away from it. I already know not to go around murdering people, so maybe I don't need to overthink it.
It's up there with the top rule, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the main things.